Hello and happy World Frog Day. I am Save the Frog founder, Dr. Kerry Kriger, and I am happy to be here. I'm actually in Dharwad, Karnataka, India. And wherever you are, go ahead, chat in, tell us where you're at. And I've got a feeling we've got people from around the world. And let's see, everyone out there, you're welcome to turn on your video and wave hello. All right, we got Jamie in London. Jamie, I got a feeling it's your first event here. And let's see, we've got Asociación Conservación Craque. I'm not sure where you guys are from. I think Colombia. And we got Jessie, perhaps in North Carolina. Look up Jessie in the search bar of our site and you can find her frog art. And we got Diane Castell, I'm guessing in Michigan. David Montiel, Save the Frogs, Mexico, in Villahermosa, Tabasco. And everyone else out there, let's see what people say. Hello from school. Okay, what school? Where is your school? Oh, we got Sabia Sachi in New Delhi. Namaste and Jagriti. All right. You folks in India, we're planning on an event in Hyderabad within the next 2 weeks. So come on down to Hyderabad. Basant, Save the Frogs Day organizer in Nepal. And we've got Kyle in Carlsbad, New Mexico. Is that right? Carlsbad
No,
Caverns?
California.
California. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. All right. All right, Carl, the other Carlsbad. I've been to the Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico long ago. Can't remember if I came to Carlsbad though in California. All right, and Kyle is celebrating his birthday. Kyle, if you're prepared, I suggest that we just get this whole thing started right now. And if you want to tell us about your Froggy Forts, if you want to share your screen at all and show anything, or it looks like you've got one behind you,
Yeah, I
um,
do.
tell us what's going on and
Love to share a
whatever you want
screen.
to tell
Well,
us.
I'll be very quickly to all of you. I met Dr. Kerry many, many years ago because my son, at the age of 5, decided that he wanted to save frogs. And Dr. Kerry was so gracious that he mentored my son at 5 and 6 and 7 years old. And we were fortunate to do quite a few little events with him. And now my son's 14, so we're going almost 10 years ago. And we've been working to save frogs for 10 years. And my son's grown up loving them. We've restored wetlands. We've helped restore wetlands with Dr. Kerry. We've saved rainforests. And we thought to ourselves, how do we do more? And it just so happens I met another man who spent 28 years creatively inventing habitats to restore critically endangered animals and frogs. And we elected to build what we call a froggy fort or a frog fortress that is for at-home backyard conservation. We want people like you and me and Dr. Kerry to not just think about rainforests or exotic places, but we've got local frogs all over the United States and other countries, of course, right in our backyard, and we're losing them. They're disappearing due to urbanization and habitat fragmentation. We take away a lot of vernal pools when we build and develop, and they aren't breeding. So we've created little froggy forts, and we have some larger ones as well coming out soon for larger conservation projects. But they allow you, a homeowner or someone at a park or a school, to have little frogs. And Dr. Kerry, I don't know if I can share a screen, but I'd love to share a picture or two.
I will give you some sharing control. Give me
And then
one second.
I appreciate the opportunity to show everyone what we're building. There's a lot of birdhouses out there. There's a lot of bird feeders. And one of my quote is, we're more than a frog house. We're more than a frog feeder. We're actually a micro habitat. We meet the essential needs of frogs. We provide water. We have insect attracting lights, which allow the frogs to hunt and be predators like they are naturally. And we have really nice shelter. And this allows you to have wild and free frogs as a pet. So you're not domesticating them. They're not going in terrariums. They're going to live right outside in your backyard. If I don't have power just yet. Sharing power. There we go. Oh, wait, it came and went.
You
Let me
should be
see.
able to click the
Yeah,
share
I got it
button at the
now.
bottom.
We are good to go. Let's find the right thing. Oh, why is it so difficult? It should be difficult.
Meanwhile, everyone out there, if you have a question, I know some of you submitted questions when you registered, but if you have any new questions, go ahead and chat them in.
So if you all can see a screen, Kerry, can you see that?
I sure can.
Yeah, so ultimately, if you've all heard of Bird Buddy, which brought on video H high definition cameras to bird feeders, we've in essence done something similar where we have integrated cameras and video in this type of frog fort here. It's called the Frog Fortress. This is more of a graphic shot. It's not meant to be right here out in nature at a beautiful lagoon, but our idea is, can you bring the feeling of nature from a lagoon back to your own home and supporting native frogs? This is Baja California tree frog on the fort. But the idea is, look at all these beautiful animals right here, and I'm in the United States, so I'm focusing here on U.S. frogs. But they're absolutely beautiful. And what we've tried to do is say, look, you could put this right on your window and you can look from inside your home, inside this little dome, and actually see frogs. And they'll be hiding out. There's little shelters that they can hide in through the day. We can put it on a fence or wall. And as I shared with you, there's both internal and external lights. Some are so you can view them. Others are with UV lighting to attract insects to it so they can feed and hunt. And we've got a ground version as well. This is at my house, the one on the ground version. As you can see, I created a little micro pond. Cost me maybe $5 for a piece of plastic. I had the rocks from my neighborhood. I went and hiked around and found rocks. And then I bought a $10 aerator, solar aerator pump. So I have a little air going through the water. And I have a frog fortress right near it. So ultimately, this little pond will support tadpoles and breeding, which will more likely than not guarantee that I'll have frogs in the fortress, in and around my yard, year after year, and have generations of frogs. And I hear them from my house, but I don't rarely see them. With the Frog Fortress, I actually get to see them now because they actually moved from over the fence, let's say an eighth of a mile away, and they've come up to my place. And we attracted them with mating calls during the mating season. And once they find water and once they find a house, they tend to stay. So this is our concept. And Kerry, I appreciate the opportunity to share this. As you can see, we call it the Essentials Frog Fortress because we give them shelter, we attract food, and we give them a little water. They're pretty happy. If you're a frog, you'd want to live there. At least that's what we believe. And so far, it's working in my home and the co-founder's home. Unfortunately for him, he's got invasive Cuban tree frogs in his. He'd prefer a non-invasive, but he's still happy that he's got little frog tenants in the frog fort. And if you want to learn any more, our site is called Froggy Forts, as in we're trying to create a nice fort for them to live in. froggyforts.com. And we're a startup conservation company. We'll be launching this on Kickstarter in about a month. So if you'd like to be an early adopter or first mover, they'll be available for you in about a month's time. And you can learn a lot at froggyforts.com. That's my first TV commercial ever, Kerry. I
All right,
appreciate
thank you.
it.
You were good at that.
And you're
You're
awesome
a
for letting me
natural
do it.
frog salesman.
We are selling conservation, right?
Frog habitat.
We are trying to persuade people to do good for the world and restore
Yeah.
native
Now that
species.
was good. You clearly stated what it is, and I like that. Well, can you tell me how often, I guess it changes depending on the weather around you, but like you're in a dry part of the world, I assume most of the year. How often do you think you need to refill it with water?
Well, we have, I didn't show a picture, a bottle that will screw on top with a very slow drip system. So in essence, when you saw a picture, there's an upper deck that just has a little water and the wading
Okay.
pools below are a little bit deeper, but it'll slowly drip for you, keeping the moisture and humidity. Otherwise, you go out and it's like watering a plant. You'll have to put a little fresh water in there.
Yeah.
It's less important if you were to have little micro ponds or a water garden, or let's say a wine barrel. You know what I'm saying? Where you have water already. But some people don't have access to that. So if you can just feed it like a plant, give it a little water every once in a while, it should be fine. And it's not that difficult. I've even used a hose. I mean, that's more like to clean it. I can buy reptile cleaner and make sure it's all good. But more often than not, it's the frogs aren't making these places dirty. They're still hopping around and climbing trees and walls and doing their thing. So they are free.
All right, good. Thank you so much, Kyle.
Thank
If
you.
anyone has a question, you got the co-founder of Froggy Forts right here. So this is your time. And if you have other questions about anything amphibious or about Save the Frogs or World Frog Day or Save the Frogs Day, which is coming up April 28th, then chat it in. And let's see what has come in. I want to say hi to Emmanuel in Uganda from Herp Fauna Foundation. Sounds like they're herp focused, so that's good out there in Africa. Everyone out there, we've got Save the Frogs Africa, and we have a meeting coming up. The last Saturday of the month is when those meetings take place. You can go to savethefrogs.com
Hey,
slash
Kerry,
event. Yes.
I like to say something about, I like Kyle's idea because, I built my frog pond in my backyard 4 years ago. I showed you, I sent you those pictures that Freddie's,
Yeah.
yeah, I put a frog pond in about 5 years ago. It's only, 9 feet long and maybe 4 feet wide, and with rocks around it, hostas and everything else. And 4 years ago, I had a bullfrog take up residence, and he's been there ever since. He hibernates at the bottom every year. And I sent Kerry a picture. He came out last Monday. It was warm. He came out and he was sitting on the rock, big as ever. But they're very easy to manage. I have only thing is you have to have an aerator with an outdoor pond because if you don't, the leaves and stuff fall to the bottom, and during the winter they rot and they take all the oxygen out of the water. So you got to have an aerator going all year round so that you keep the oxygen going. And Freddie spent the whole winter at the bottom, and then out he came. So and he's a big frog, and he makes a lot of noise.
All right. Thanks for the update, Jack, out there in Massachusetts. And everyone out there, if you are interested in building a pond in your backyard or at your school or wherever you can find a land manager or owner who can give you permission to build it and hopefully help out with it, go to Save the Frogs Academy, savethefrogs.com slash academy. And we have a wetlands course in there where we teach you how to build a backyard frog pond. All right, so Kyle has I think it came from Kyle. Yes. What
Yeah.
is the difference between World Frog Day and Save the Frogs Day? Good question. All right, so Save the Frogs Day, I started in 2009, and Save the Frogs Day takes place April 28th every year. This will be the 17th annual Save the Frogs Day. I'll say the primary difference is that Save the Frogs Day has had active organization and events for the past 17 years. So we've had probably a couple thousand Save the Frogs Day events, whereas the number of World Frog Day events that have taken place, I could probably count on my hand. There's not too many of them. Sorry, World Frog Day um, basically was not anything that happened much at all until about 2020, though it existed. And you can go read a thorough history that I created from having done significant research on it this past year. If you go to worldfrogday.org, which I built that website, worldfrogday.org/about, there's a thorough timeline. So, um, but basically the sum of it is World Frog Day was pretty much more or less unknown until around 2020, maybe 2019. You didn't hear much about it at all. Okay. And then 2020, I guess everyone was stuck inside and boom, it kind of blew up on the internet, but not of anything more than just like, Happy World Frog Day. Here's a photo. And which is cool because it brings awareness. But Save the Frogs Day, we've actually been organizing live events for 17 years, and we've had a couple thousand events. And Save the Frogs has funded Save the Frogs Day grants. I could look up how much in grants we've given out, but probably tens of thousands of dollars worth of grants to get people out there doing things. So we'll say Save the Frogs Day is the original amphibian education day, and World Frog Day has gotten popular in the last few years. So I'm happy the more amphibian awareness that there is, the better. All right. And let's see. Jagriti, I think from India. Where in India are you? I'm a young researcher who wants to work in the field of wildlife conservation. That's good. My recent interest is in amphibians, but I have observed this quite often that there are so many researchers working on big mammals and wildlife conservation, but amphibians, which are among the most threatened animals and on the verge of endangerment, are not studied as much. Why is that? Well, I think first off, people see big mammals. People don't see amphibians too often because amphibians tend to come out at night on wet nights, and that's when people go inside. So when the amphibians are out, people go inside. So in general, and also as people move towards cities, there's not quite so many amphibians in the cities. So people see amphibians less. And I think I don't know, they're more evolutionarily separated than us, and therefore some people are not quite so into them, or until recently, we've been making people love amphibians. So there's more people now, but just historically, it's just been the way it is that the focus that people care about mammals more than they care about other classes of animals. So, but we're working on changing that, and I can tell you because I've been in this since 2003. I founded Save the Frogs in 2008 as the world's first and only public charity dedicated exclusively to amphibians, and I did that because the vast majority of amphibian conservation was restricted to the universities, maybe a little bit in coming from the government, but mostly it was just university researchers. And I saw there was not a lot of awareness these days. I don't know if you walk up to someone in the street, depending on where in the world you are, there's a decent chance they've heard that amphibians are endangered. But in 2008, that was not the case. And my estimate in 2008 was that there were probably about 2,000 amphibian biologists worldwide. And I don't have an estimate now, but I know there's tons more. There's so many universities that have research groups with a herpetological amphibian focus, and there's just a lot more people out there, wildlife photographers. Um, when we started Save the Frogs Eco Tours in 2013, there was nothing going on related to amphibian tours. And right now, hey, we've got Washington Wachira out there in Kenya. He's leading herpeto tours. We'll say, Washington, if you want to introduce yourself, say something about your tours. If anyone has a interest in heading out to Kenya. Um, yeah, there's a lot of ecotourism that's related to amphibians these days. There are independent small businesses like Kyle's got dedicated to helping out frogs and doing, good things for amphibians. So there's a lot more activity. And Jagriti. We've got Save the Frogs India based out of Kolkata. We've had programs all around India really since the beginning. India has been involved in Save the Frogs Day events every year since 2009. And so there's a lot more action going on even in India. And actually, I was in Bengaluru at KV Guru Raja's lab a month or two ago, and I asked him, I was like, hey, what do you think about what's going on in India now versus when you were a graduate student? And he agreed that there's a ton more interest in amphibians and amphibian biologists and researchers at the universities. So that's a good thing. We're headed in the right direction. All right, Jamie. are there frogs in cities like London? I can't speak of London in particular, but I'm going to have to say yes, because I did go out in Cambridge at night, and that's not far from there. And British people have, I believe, a history of a culture of backyard ponds and backyard gardens. And there were um, what Alatee's midwife toads living in some of those backyards. You know, you're like in the city and people just have a small, I don't know, 15 meter by 5 meter backyard, and it's got lots of vegetation. And hey, there's midwife toads living there. Are they native? I don't believe they are. But there were also other amphibians. I'm just using that as an example. So yeah, I would say if you build, you may as well build a pond, even if the frogs don't come, you're still going to attract insects and dragonflies and cool things that will, nice looking vegetation. And maybe if enough people in your neighborhood do that, then the frogs will come. All right. Alyssa has the peepers and wood frogs out calling in the vernal pools in Pennsylvania. That's a good thing. And let's see. Washington out there in Kenya put in his link, kenyaherpetologytours.com. Mukasa says he was inspired by me to start Herp Fauna Foundation, advocate for conservation of frogs and snakes. Well, that's really cool. Mukasa, if you guys have a URL, if you have social media, if you have a website, send that in, and go ahead and send me an email. I can't remember if we've spoken or not, but I'm certainly interested. Anyone that I've inspired to start a herpetofauna based foundation, I'd like to hear more about that. Oh, we've got herpfauna.com. There it is. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click that open. All right, Jessie's here. Jessie has been Save the Frogs volunteer for a long time. Jessie, if you have anything you want to say about your past Save the Frogs history or your art, or if you want to send in a link, I'm pretty sure you have an art website. Go ahead and send that in.
Sure. Hi, everyone.
Hi,
I'm
Jessie.
Jessie.
Hi.
So,
Hello.
yeah, I am so grateful to Save the Frogs because I've been a frog lover my whole life. My grandfather gave me this frog stuffed animal named Froggy when I was born, so always loved them. But I had, enjoyed frogs, enjoyed learning about them for a long time before I ever realized that there were all these global threats that amphibians were facing. And the only reason I ever learned that is because I discovered Save the Frogs website in 2012. So that was really amazing and eye-opening for me to see. Kind of shocking in some ways. Like, I was shocked that there could be so many different threats and so much synergy between them, like that frogs were facing habitat destruction and pollution, and chytrid fungus and all these diseases, and that I could be like looking up all these frog facts and researching so much about them and never know about it. That was really surprising to me. But the fact that Save the Frogs also had so many different ways to help and so many, just so much really universal information about all that, was really inspiring to me too. So to me, I just thought, I've always loved frogs. I've always loved making art of them. That was my hobby. Why can't I now do this as a way to help them? So that just became a little bit of a mission for me, which has been really fun. So let's see if, Dr. Krieger's right. Save the Frogs was really nice and did an article about some of my art a few years back. So I'll put that here. And it's not the most up to date, but I do have an art portfolio website I'll stick in here too, where you can find a little bit more about me and my art now. But yeah, for me, it's just, I try to make artwork of a lot of different frog species to help teach people about some of the different threats that these species face. So I'll make little fact cards to go with these frogs. I work and display my art at Art and Bloom Gallery, which is a local gallery here. So I use that as an opportunity to share this kind of information with people who would never be exposed to it otherwise. And I use it as a way to help raise money for Save the Frogs. So that way they can use that to do all the cool frog conservation stuff that I'm so grateful to support. So it's been really amazing to get to learn about all these and be able to continue doing my frog art to actually help frogs. That's been really rewarding to me.
All right, thank you so much for that. And I'm glad to hear we've had a significant impact on your environmental conservation efforts. Would I be correct to say that Save the Frogs has been around for more than half of your life or a part of your
Yeah,
okay, all right,
yeah,
that's
I'm
cool.
24, so like I guess exactly.
All
Yeah.
right, good. All right. Okay, good. Everyone out there, if you have questions, send them in. Currently, I think we've gone through all the questions out here. Click some of these links that people have sent in. Go check out Jessie's site. Indeed, we have not updated her art page on Save the Frogs website in many years. But Jessie, if you have any new frog art, then go ahead and send that to us and we can update that.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Basant out there in, I think, Nepal. I've been working in herpetofauna since 2017, particularly snakes, but dived into frogs from 2023. Yes, we're getting a lot of the snake people jumping over into the frog ecosystem. All right, Washington asks, will there be some materials we can print for Save the Frogs Day and share with local communities, maybe like some art posters or so? And Kyle says, please share some of your most recent good moments or impactful moments. I'm not sure if that was a question for me. So are you talking to me there or? Okay, all right. Let me get to that in a second. We've got a question about Save the Frogs materials. So it seems like in the next month, I should put more time into bringing our printable materials up to date. But as it is, yes, there are some things. So let me open up some of those places that you can go on the Save the Frogs website. Let me share my screen. All right, give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay, good. So we've got this page, savethefrogs.com/day, spread the word. How do you get here? From the Save the Frogs Day the main page, savethefrogs.com/day, there should be a section on that page that says spread the word. Otherwise, we've got this handy search bar right here. I use it all the time. It works really well. If you type spread the word into there, then you will find this page. And on this page, we've got various things that you can do to spread the word. Some of that is digital materials. And let's see if we have some printed. Post this flyer. So this is 8.5 by 11, it says. So that's downloadable 8.5 by 11 flyer. It doesn't have much as far as education, but it's good promo and it looks cool. So you can print that. Hey, we've got a Spanish flyer. Someone out there said that they were in Spanish class right now. Entonces te invitamos a hacer un héroe para los anfibios participando activamente en el Día de Salvemos a las Ranas. So print this one out. This one does have some educational info. And let's see what else is in here. Info if you want to try to get some an event listing in your local newspaper website. Hey, that's out of date. I'll fix that. How to write Save the Frogs Day correctly. Take a look at this. Hey, let's keep on going. Okay, so there wasn't too much there, but we do have Save the Frogs Academy. Now, everyone can access Save the Frogs Academy free for 28 days. I'll tell you how to get it for longer than that. But anyone, if you've never accessed Save the Frogs Academy, we've got lots of online courses there, savethefrogs.com/academy. And right here at the top, it says 3 ways to get access to it. Hey, here's 28 days free. Boom, that's easy. Otherwise, you could apply for a scholarship, and that takes like 5 to 10 minutes. And as long as you actually write something real for the questions that's longer than like one sentence, you'll probably get approved, and then you'll have ongoing access to Save the Frogs Academy. And you could become a member via donation. You could donate $10 a month or $100 a year. Okay. So if you've got the money, hey, that would be great. If not, apply for a scholarship. Or if you just want to test it out, just go get your 28 days free. And in here, hey, look right here, there's a button, downloadables. And we've got downloadable books, flyers, magazine, and my publications for you scientists out there, people who want to get a bit more technical. All right, so what's in here for the books? We've got PDFs, The Story of Save the Frogs, The Little Book of Frog Poetry. Hey, I actually travel with that. I guess you could say I rarely leave home without it. And let me pull it out. I have not recited any frog poetry in a long time. What I like to do sometimes, hey, I actually have a Save the Frogs magazine right here, which is one of those things that you can download. Hey, I've got a Save the Frogs Little Book of Frog Poetry with some cool frog art in there. And it's got some cool poems. So yeah, I encourage you to get that. Hey, I'll read one. We're counting on you. Let me unshare my screen momentarily. We're counting on you. This is actually art by a girl who I believe was 16 at the time from California. I think she came in second place in, like, I don't know, 2012 Save the Frogs art contest or something way back. Melody Cabral. All right, I'll just read this shot from Sean Cordes. In the USA, he held Save the Frogs Day events and went on to become a professional amphibian biologist building wetlands in Cape Cod. All right, we're counting on you. Help me, please. I'm in despair. You found me here because you care. Although you may think frogs are fine, our numbers are in sharp decline. From chytrid fungus and invasive species to frog leg lunches and infectious diseases, we'll disappear and fade away unless you help us here today. There's time to act, but it's up to you to spread the word and save me too. All right, so go get your Save the Frog's Little Book of Poetry downloaded and other things. There's 4 issues downloadable of Save the Frogs magazine. Okay. Yeah, they're old, but there's still like 90% of the stuff in here. Hey, the people who are saving the frogs. And what do you know? That's Sean who wrote that poem right there. See who else is here. James Hall, Joan in Connecticut, Nancy, California. All right. Yeah, they're old magazines, but there's still tons of stuff that's relevant to this day in there. All right, let me reshare my screen and we'll see what other things are in there. The Amphibian Love art book. Okay, it's got awesome art and some cool poetry in there as well. So those could work for some live events. And flyers. Save the Frogs flyer collection. How to help. This is one of the best ones right here. That's probably why it's first. Let's see if it'll load up. Frogs are disappearing flyer, intro to Save the Frogs flyer, schools, top 10 actions. If you're going into a school, that may be good. Dissections flyer, if you're going anywhere where they dissect frogs. My ponds are drying up if you're interested in climate change. Save the Frogs Day flyer, volunteer flyer if you want to help us find some volunteers. Hey, an atrazine flyer, that's an old one. And then we've got a few in Spanish as well. So there are a good number of 8.5 by 11 A4 flyers. This thing's been slow to load up lately. I'm not sure why, but it's got a list of, let's zoom in and see what happens there. There it is. All right, Save the Frogs Day. Frogs are disappearing. What's going on? Threats to frogs listed out. Frogs are important. Why they're important. Ways to help. So that's all I need. I could like look at this for an hour or I could have that in hand and talk to people, give a presentation without a slideshow or anything. Just pick one thing on that page and talk about it for a while. All right. So there's lots of flyers in there. And let's see, Save the Frogs magazines. There's 4 of those to download. And then in here, if you're into scientific publications, you can get pretty much all of my peer-reviewed scientific publications in there. Most of them are amphibian disease focused. All right, so I hope that helps. If there's something in particular that you seek that we don't have, then we could create it. All right, please share some of my most recent good moments or impactful moments. Let's see. Not exactly sure what you mean, where I thought that where I felt accomplished, or what exactly is that? Something I thought we did well?
Yeah, sometimes I'd like to hear from your perspective. Where did you go somewhere, do something, and you were impacted, and you like it reaffirmed everything that you've been working on for so many years? Or you could do it, well, we made an impact in a certain area and we helped an ecosystem. It could be that impact too.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from your own personal experience.
Okay. Well, I haven't lost my my feeling of is this important? Is this important? I don't think there's ever been a day where I was like, yeah, there's been some days where I was like, should I be doing this? Maybe, but there was never the question of is this important or not. So, fortunately, yes, I started this and stuck with it because I always knew it was important and it's still important. And there's still, you know, there's still so much we can do to save the frog. So there's plenty to do. Let's see. I guess I'll just tell you the few things that popped into my mind while I started thinking about this over the last couple minutes. I like that Jessie's still here and that we've had a big impact on her life. I like that our friend in Uganda, who is Mukasa, started a herpetofaunal foundation inspired by us. And as you may have gotten in my most recent Save the Frogs email newsletter, other than the one I just sent out, we had a probably our most significant legislation or federal success legislatively was getting 201 salamander species listed under the Lacey Act, which prevents them from being imported into the USA because they're thought to be, or they're likely carriers of Batrachochytrium salamandrivorans, a chytrid fungus that impacts primarily salamanders, but it does also potentially impact frogs and toads. And that was about 2017 that went through. We had successfully campaigned, petitioned the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service or Department of Interior, and in 2016 or so, and then in 2017 that went through. But for many years, I did not know the impact of it, and I had had a little bit of data from the government that made it sound like it was having a significant impact. And then I just happened to find an article that got published like 2 years ago. I've since been in touch with the authors of it, and the whole article is about the impact of that legislation. And basically it's like 500,000 amphibians that were destined, compared to past, if things had kept happening at the past rate, there would have been 500,000 more amphibians that got imported into the US. So we stopped all that from happening, and that disease has not been detected in the USA at all so far. So that's a significant success for us. And what just happened, they had public comment because they wanted to actually strengthen that legislation and add a lot more species to that, meaning these species are not allowed to come into the US, which for me is perfectly fine. I don't need non-native species coming into the USA for any reason, really. It's like, keep those species where they're from and let us have our species here, and we don't need new diseases coming in causing die-offs of amphibians here. So I'm pretty happy about that. uh yeah, so I'll leave it at that. I mean, there's always cool stuff that happens. One of the best things about Save the Frogs is that we've got so many awesome, dedicated, intelligent, fun, frog loving people around out there doing stuff. And some of them have been around with Save the Frogs for a long time. So it's good to watch them. I also like when we've had like students I've mentored who go on to get in professional, high quality professional environmental careers. Some of them start nonprofit organizations inspired by Save the Frogs. And sometimes, I don't know, I don't give as many presentations these days, so I'm happy to be here talking to you all because I always like giving presentations. I've given like 450 amphibian conservation presentations, but it used to be like 50, 60, 70 a year, and now it's way less for who knows what reason. And I like to go out there and talk to schools. We're actually planning an event in Hyderabad at the Laboratory for the Conservation of Endangered Species, and we're going to bring in school students in there, so that should be a lot of fun. All right, let me move on and see what else is in here in the questions. All right, Basant's in the field, probably in Nepal. Hope everyone out there is celebrating Save the Frogs Day 2025. Yeah, so another difference between World Frog Day and Save the Frogs Day is that Save the Frogs Day has had website, a dedicated web page forever for 17 years. World Frog Day never had anything until I built it like 2 years ago. Save the Frogs Day has thorough resources on there for people who are looking to organize an event. There's a page, savethefrogs.com/day-organizer. Sorry, savethefrogs.com/day-organize. And that's got tips for event organizers. And yeah, so if you're out there promoting Save the Frogs Day, instead of just saying, Happy Save the Frogs Day, done, it's like, click like on the post next, say Happy Save the Frogs Day, and go check out savethefrogs.com/day. And then people who are interested go there and sign up for stuff and learn a lot and take part and volunteer. And it's a lot more beneficial. All right. And it's good for Save the Frogs too. Okay. We got some cool photos from Mukasa. That is an awesome looking frog right there. Small guy. That was the first picture. He looks big, and then I see him on your hand. And all right, nice looking frogs. I assume they're in Uganda. All right, thanks for that. Hey, that leaf litter frog looks a lot like leaf litter frogs all around the world. All right, in terms of materials, my personal favorite has been Save the Frogs printed cards, the info cards. Yes, we've had tens of thousands of them printed, but it's been a while since I got any printed, in part because I'm not giving lots of live events anymore, so I don't like have a car trunk full of Save the Frog stuff ready to hand out to people. But that 8.5 by 11 flyer is the same material on there. All right. All right, Jagriti and Basant meet up and come on into a Save the Frog South Asia meetup. They're taking place the last Saturday of every month as well online. And we've had awesome guest speakers every month for like the last 7 or 8 months. SaveTheFrogs.com/Sam, SAM, South Asia meetups. Just type in SaveTheFrogs.com/Sam and you'll find the info there. All right, Marina from Cameroon. Now, we did have a question in here. I think it came from Jack. And the question was an update. Do I have an update? And I don't, but maybe you do, on the status of conservation of Goliath frogs. So, Marina, if you're out there and you want to tell us anything about what's going on with Goliath frogs, do we think they're increasing or decreasing in number? Are the number of people hunting them increasing or decreasing? Are the number of groups focused on protecting them increasing or decreasing? Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
So I'm not working on Goliath frog, but I have many friends that do. And the status nationally did not change. The species is decreasing. And there are many people that have focused their work on Goliath frog from now. But I think compared to other species, Goliath frogs, there are more conservation action for that compared to other species that are most threatened. So in Cameroon, the space is still decreasing. So
Okay.
the
All right. So
stages
we
have
still
it
need
is
a
part
lot
of the
of
class A. Mm.
We need more people working to save them, more resources to protect them. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
sure.
Why don't you tell us what are you doing? What's your amphibious focus, or are you reptile focused or
Uh,
what?
I'm mostly working on mountain species like Leptodactyl, the X frogs, long fingers frogs, and all species that we found only on mountain areas. So I'm mostly trained working on small twin frog species. So in the whole Cameroon volcanic line.
Okay. What is the
Mm.
altitude of those montane species?
Oh, it depends on Manengba Mountain where we are working now. The altitude is 2000 and where we found the highest species was 2200 meters. But
Meters.
it goes to
Okay.
2000, yeah. Mm.
All
But
right. Well, that's
there's
up
some
there.
that are more high. Yeah.
Is that a cloud forest?
Yeah. So very cloud. It's cloudy.
All right, good. All right,
Mm.
well, send our hello to everyone on your team and happy World Frog Day. Hope you guys can take part in Save the Frogs Day as well.
Okay, great.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you.
All right. Oh my, we've got Laura Honda here. Hi, Laura. Laura hosted one or two, no less than two presentations of mine for her extremely enthusiastic frog saving students back in 2013 and 14 time frame. Laura, if you're out there and you want to say hi,
Hi,
please.
Kerry.
Hi.
I'm not doing the camera. I look awful.
I'm sure you look
I
good, but it's all right.
well, I lost all my hair. I had leukemia, but I'm happy to be here. Yesterday
We're happy
I
you're
was
still
just
here.
emailing you. I'm being a frog docent here in Fairfax, and we saw
Good.
foothill yellow-legged frogs
Good.
yesterday.
With Marin water?
Yes, with marin water and
All
marin
right,
pools.
good.
So it's pretty
We have
exciting.
a presentation of theirs up on our site. I think it's in if you go to Save the Frogs Academy and click the USA course, I think
Oh,
it's
okay.
there. Yeah, they're one of their main frog people gave a presentation a year or two ago. All right,
Very
good.
cool. And I
Yeah,
just forwarded your stuff to a couple people that I know through the water district and the parks.
good.
So I met three
All right,
young
good.
people, biologists, and I thought, oh, they would love to hear about this. So I'm forwarded to them.
Okay, good. All
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
Well, it's good to hear your voice. Happy World Frog Day. Thanks for your service to the frogs.
Aw, and I'm amazed of everything you've been doing all these years. And
Thank
one
you.
other thing, if you don't mind, a student of mine from when you came to my class, Hadia, my precious girl, who had moved here from Afghanistan, she's still involved with my environmental. I do a tea talk and take action, and she said she wanted another Save the Frogs bracelet because something
Okay,
happened to hers that I had given her way back then, and so I ordered some. And anyway, she's really excited about that. She still
good.
loves those
All
froggies.
right, tell her I say hi.
I will. I will. Thank you. Good to hear
All
your
right,
voice.
everyone out there. Oh, that link probably didn't work right there. Not that first one. I'm gonna send this in if anyone does want. Save the Frogs wristbands. Then there's the link right there. All right, let's see. We have a couple more questions. Got various questions here. All right, I always enjoy your different publication on Facebook. All right, good. SaveTheFrogs.com/Facebook will get you our group. Facebook.com/SaveTheFrogs will get you our page. All right, you're doing so great, and most of your flyers inspired us when doing flyers good. All right, we'll try to get some more flyers, and I do have like actual like 18 by 24 and 24 by 36 posters, like big posters that are just kind of in my archives. We used to sell them as actually printed posters, but I've just been meaning to just put the PDF up on the site so if someone wants to print them out themselves, they can do that. All right, how do we minimize the spread of diseases on the herp ecotours? SaveTheFrogs.com/ecotours. I'm always very wary of bringing people to frog sites out of fear of introducing chytrid and ranavirus. Yeah, let's see, if you bring people to frog sites, then we'll say order of operations is to go to the most endangered frogs first, because you'll be showing up there without any or we'll say low chance of anything on your shoes or tires or anything. as opposed to if you go visit like 10 frog sites and then go visit the endangered frogs. Let's see. I personally start out with new boots, and everybody who shows up, I'll say most people come with new boots. We don't require new boots, and we don't, most of our people are not amphibian biologists who are hanging out a lot at, or I'll say, yeah. It's rare that any of our eco-tourists are amphibian biologists, or that they've been places lately. I should explicitly tell people, bring new boots. Whatever you bring, make sure they're new. And that's all I have to say on it. Yeah, we're not driving like through streams or anything like that. And I think my general kind of my take on stuff is that people are, even if we e- even as we as amphibian biologists like didn't go or we did our thing, and there's still like tons more people going to these places. I don't think we're gonna have any more low chance of us having an impact that other people didn't already take stuff to. It's also rare that we're visiting like endangered frog sites on our tours. So that's what I have to say about it. If you have thoughts on it, let me know. Um, Probably didn't instill too much confidence in that, but I have not I don't think our eco tours are spreading fungus and virus. When I was doing my research, I would disinfect my tools because I personally would be going to frog sites all the time. And we don't touch frogs. Like, it's rare that anyone touches frogs. We have thorough discussions on not touching frogs. I think that would be the highest likelihood of spreading diseases, is picking up lots of frogs. And I know there are lots of types of tours where people touch a lot of frogs, but we have a very um, con repetitive conversations about reducing the touch and reducing the impact on the actual individual frogs. Um, so I personally like, there's a high chance that during a 10-day tour, I touch 0 frogs or 1 frog. And when I touch a frog, it's probably to pick it up and demonstrate how to hold a frog in a safe manner if one needs to hold a frog. All right. Yeah, we can screen participants and ensure they have not visited other frog sites. Yeah, our people have not been recently at other frog sites. All right, this meeting is the best part of your day. Good. I think you're in school, so you can tell your fellow students and teachers about us. Give out frog cards later. Bake cookies. Yeah, bake some frog-shaped cookies. And if you want to raise money for Save the Frogs, that'd be cool too. All right, we have an art. Mukasa has an article published today in the national newspaper in regard to World Snake Day. When is World Snake Day? I don't know if you meant World Frog Day. Oh, so it looks like you did. Celebrating World Frog Day 2025. Good. All right. Maybe you can work with the same newspaper or whatever company that is and get some Save the Frogs Day focus too. All right, are you planning to visit New Delhi, India someday? I have been there multiple times. Been to the Red Fort and crossed the Yamuna River, which I'm told they're cleaning up. That would be incredible if they actually cleaned it up, because that was about the least clean river I've ever crossed, I'll say. So if they're actually cleaning that up, that's cool. Do I plan to visit there? There is a chance on this trip, because I'm in India right now, that I would come there for a few days. I did speak at WWF in New Delhi the last time I was there. And let's see, does the Savethefrogs.com/shop Save the Frogs Gift Center. Do we ship overseas? We sure do. It's not too cheap. I think it's like $25. But if you buy a lot of stuff, then, you know, $25 isn't too much. But for just like one item, if you're just trying to buy one shirt, then it's a little bit pricey. All right, like if we wanted to buy some items and have them delivered to Nairobi. Yeah, why don't you look what you have there? If they're being used for educational purposes or for volunteers, then I may be able to help you out with a discount there. But yeah, the thing is, shipping overseas is just unfortunately expensive. All right, Jessie says, out of curiosity, as an amphibian biologist, what specific areas of amphibian science do you think need more attention? What research questions have gone neglected that could be explored? Ooh, it's a good question there. My top thing would be, say, contact a university professor who's like day in, day out involved in academic scientific research, because I'm not anymore. Though I will still give you my thoughts. Let me drink some water first. All right. One question that I've always wanted, like I've always thought it'd be cool to have a master's student who learned all about mosquito trapping and mosquito surveys, okay? Quantifying the abundance of mosquitoes around wetlands, around newly built wetlands, and kind of overlaying that with GIS data of diseases that are caused by mosquito-borne diseases. And seeing what is the relationship, because wetland, one reason is people kind of fear wetlands. That's one reason so many wetlands have been drained, because they think we got to drain, you know, on top of like wanting dry land for agriculture. They're like, we don't want, you know, wetlands, just get rid of them and then we won't have to worry about the mosquitoes. People fear mosquitoes. Mosquitoes have had a huge impact on human civilization, and frogs eat mosquitoes. We want to build more wetlands. So I think there's a lot of interesting data that could come out of that, and seeing, you know, who knows. And I'm not sure of the exact specifics on how all that would take place,
Hey,
but I think it
Kerry,
would be a good
o-
start.
on
Yeah.
that, on that subject, you know, in Massachusetts, every fall, you know, we have, or every couple of years, we have outbreaks of triple E. And they do a lot of,
Triple E
yes,
encephalitis, or what is that?
yes, Eastern equine encephalitis. And
Okay.
also West Nile, and they do weekly reports of mosquito data collection and so forth, because they actually break it down by township. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, there's probably a big database there on you know, relationship between you know, mosquitoes and diseases, because like I say, they've been tracking this thing for years.
Good. Yeah. So there's existent disease and just finding the data that exists. And then there's collecting new data. Like I'm guessing that they were not out there specifically looking around newly built wetlands, but there are groups in, say, New York. There's the Wetlands Trust. And I believe that they get money from when companies destroy the environment and they make an agreement with the government that they need to pay some funds to have some wetlands built. And then Wetlands Trust gets the funds and builds wetlands. So that's a place where there's a lot of, you know, wetlands being built. All right. Moving on. Okay, we're getting towards the end of this. We are 1 hour into this. Let me quickly answer questions that came in for the actual registration of this event. All right, good. From the top, Association Conservación Croque in Colombia. I'm not sure if you're still on here. Chat in. Where in Colombia are you? All right, so that's not a question. Tenemos varias especies en peligro de extinción. Como salvarla? How do we save these species that are endangered? I guess that depends on the species and the location and what their threats are. I'll say, because you didn't give me any information, but I'll say you have to determine what the threats to them are first, and then deal with that. The threat choices likely being habitat destruction, pollution, pesticides, over harvesting for the pet and food trades, um, climate change, invasive species. All right, there should be 6. And I can't remember if I got them all, but hey, on that flyer we looked at before, it's got all 6 threats right there. So, but anyway, determine the threats to the species and start there. And then I'd say, hey, what are you going to do when you determine it? Usually it's education, number 1. So start with public education in that area of, who are the people, the groups? Are they are they purposely harming the frogs, or is it just like, it just so happens that their lifestyles cause some problems for the frogs? All right, what colors can frogs see? This was an interesting question because I've heard most of the frog questions. Okay, or it's rare I get a question that I haven't heard before, and I can't remember being asked that. And I'd have to go look up, like what are the rods and cones and in their eyes. I haven't looked into that in a long time, so I really don't have an answer for you. What colors can frogs see? But I know that some of those frogs, they got those big googly frog eyes and they can see pretty well at night. So I'm not sure exactly what they're seeing, but they've got some good eyesight. All right, how many endangered frog species are in the UK? Now, I don't have the answer. I'm going to guess like 2 or 3. I think there's only like 4 to 8 species. And I know on our site that Stephen Alleyne has written an article or 2 on our site. Maybe call about the common toad. So you can probably put common toad into the search bar, and he probably talked about all the species that are in the country. But here's how I would answer that question. I would go to amphibiaweb.org. That's where I go to answer these kind of questions. All right. Oh, dear friends. Uh-oh. Not good when you open up a site you've been going to forever and there's dear friends, here's an important message about destruction of the government that probably funds our work and such. I haven't read the message. I just saw that. Anyway, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to look at AmphibiaWeb. Hopefully it's not that bad a message, but it is something about cuts. So that's not a good thing. And so amphibiaweb.org, current number of amphibian species in our database, 8,873. When I founded Save the Frogs, that number was 6,000. So there's lots of new species being discovered or simply reclassified and described. But anyway, right here, search database. That's where I always go. Okay. Search the database. And I could just come to this map. If we're looking for a place, come to the map, same map that's always been here, and click Europe, and then go in there in UK. And now we can see right here, there's 11 frog species and 4 salamander species. And here, the red list status, it's got none of them listed as endangered. Okay, I could have sworn that they had some threatened species there, like one of those big newts, the great crested newt. I thought that was threatened. Maybe it's just threatened in the country, but not globally. Anyway, hope that answered your question right there. And let's keep on moving down this list. All right, how many frogs are there per pond on average? Well, that depends on the size of the pond, and I'm sure it can change completely. There may just be a few. Hopefully, there's not just one lonely frog at the pond, but there could be. And it could be the first frog there, it could be the last frog there, or you could have this crazy rain event and the moon's out or the moon's not out or whatever it is, conditions are perfect and there's thousands of frogs calling around a pond or a wetland. So that all just depends. All right, moving on. Let's see. How do you collaborate with us in Uganda to empower the activities of frog conservation? Well, let's see. We have Save the Frogs Day grant funding. Now, the grant period has ended for this year, but we do often receive Save the Frogs Day grant applications from groups like yours from around the world. Otherwise, I mean, we can't give you funding this year if you did not apply, but we can certainly advise, and you can show up at any of our online events and ask questions. If you really have something of importance, then set up a time with me to talk, and we can provide advice and printed materials and connections perhaps to other people of interest. Oh, we do have Save the Frogs Africa meetups that take place the last Saturday of every month, and savethefrogs.com/Africa. So why don't you show up at one of them and tell us about your group and ask your questions right there? That would be good. All right. Oh, we do have other grants. In June, we have Amphibian Conservation Awards. So you can go to savethefrogs.com/grants. All right, Jessie submitted a question. As someone whose knowledge on the state of amphibian declines is mostly outdated now, it's been exciting to learn about harlequin toad species, rediscoveries, or frog saunas as treatments for chytrid fungus more recently. What other discoveries or inventions give you hope for frogs and amphibians today? Well, we've got Froggy Forts, so hopefully those will help the amphibians. Other things, let's see. I'm pretty impressed with the state of wetland creation, wetland restoration knowledge. And anyone out there, if you're in the Eastern USA and you're up for a road trip, go up to Pittsford, New York, near Rochester, April 25th, 6th, and 7th, I believe, are the dates. And a frog house will be building wetlands with wetland expert Tom Biebighauser, who's based in Kentucky and has built thousands of wetlands. And he has created methods of building wetlands that are extremely cost effective and give amphibians habitat for potentially hundreds of years. So that's a good thing. And there's a lot of groups that are interested in that, and farmers and private landowners. All right, how many different frogs are there? Hey, well, we just saw how many different amphibian species there are. Go to amphibiaweb.org, search the database. There should be a choice. Do you want Anora? Do you want the frogs and toads? Okay, that should be a choice. And then it'll get rid of the newts and salamanders and the caecilians and just give you your answer for frogs specifically. All right, how many different frogs are there? Is that like individuals or species? I'm just talking about species. Hopefully there's billions of frogs, but I really don't know the world population of frogs. All right, what kind of careers exist for a young person interested in the beauty and life of frogs and toads? What kind of careers exist? Well, let's see. Amphibian biologist, researcher, university, land manager, work for the government, doing environmental review. Now, they usually don't have positions that are just straight up amphibian, but it's possible. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, USGS, environmental consulting for a private firm, work for a nonprofit, start your own nonprofit. That's what I did. There was not a frog saver career um, being offered, so I just started it. Okay, so whatever you want to do, figure out what you want to do, get a lot of experience. Okay, you probably aren't just going to be able to boom start your own thing unless you've put in your time and learned a lot and met a lot of people, determine what's important, and then it's still going to take a lot of work. So it just depends what you want to do. But yeah, there's environmental law, there's all kinds of things. There's creating habitat there's creating little miniature globe looking Froggy Forts, and whatever you come up with. I say just learn a lot about amphibians, volunteer for projects and people who inspire you, get your first job doing something, work hard, get a good recommendation, maybe go get a higher education degree if you deem that important, and just see where it goes. Just make sure you're ideally always doing things that you're learning something. If you feel like bored there, that it's not important, then probably time to change it up. All right, we're almost done with this. Let's see. Why are frogs just so amazing? Um, I mean, they got cool colors and big googly eyes and make cool calls. Hey, we haven't made any frog calls. Um, there's my Cascade tree frog. I haven't done that one in a while. All right, check the box, made a frog call. All right, will there be high quality posters? We already got to that. That means we've answered all the questions here. And let me just see what came in the chat, and then we're going to end this in like 2 minutes. All right, for fun, I've tried to research things like frog senses, and it's hard to say. All right, UV vision. All right, frogs have UV vision. All right, now there is a mention of biofluorescence. We do have a article on bioluminescence on our site. So if you type in bioluminescence, you can probably find that on the site, or type in the word glow, and that may come up, and put it in the search bar. All right, polka dot tree frog discovered to glow under UV light in 2017. All right, we got a link there, Cymex News glowing frogs. Let me just put our I'm going to type bioluminescence into our search bar, see how good our search is. Yes, it's good. It came right up. And here is another article that may be of interest to you. All right, everyone out there, thanks for being here. And this has been fun. Happy World Frog Day. We'll probably be back next year on March 20th. Go check out the World Frog Day website. If you're posting about World Frog Day, give that link, worldfrogday.org. And yeah, we've got like 40 days or so before Save the Frogs Day, April 28th. Every year, the 17th annual Save the Frogs Day is coming up. And I encourage all of you to organize your own event. You should be frog educated enough to do that, or at a minimum, spread the word and stay in touch. We will almost certainly have a Save the Frogs Day online event, and we will be posting more of the live events that are going to be taking place on the Save the Frogs Day website. You'll find that info. All right, that's it. Happy World Frog Day. I am Save the Frogs founder, Dr. Kerry Kriger. Thanks for helping save the frogs. Bye.
Bye, Kerry.